Popeye the Sailor Man, the first anime. Yes, I am talking about Popeye the Sailor Man. Yes, he was the first anime character. Just please give me a second to explain, and it'll all make sense.
Now don't run out on me.
So Popeye, the character, the guy, he wasn't the star of the comic he came from, which was called Thimble Theater.
E.C. Segar began his Thimble Theater comic strip in 1919. The character Popeye didn't appear until 1929.
The only reason Popeye was even in it is because they needed a sailor for something. It was like a story arc going on.
Segar apparently created the character as this kind of one-off little side character in this one adventure, and then it just sort of hit.
But yeah, they just needed a sailor, so like one of the characters was like, hey, you a sailor man? And Popeye was like, I ain't a cowboy. Like, and then he was just instantly loved. And from there, you know, people just fucking wanted to see more and more of him. And that's exactly what happened until he just basically became the fucking comic strip, you know? People were coming for Popeye. They weren't coming for the original characters, which, by the way, the main characters originally was Olive Oyl and her boyfriend, who was called, like, Ham Gravy or some shit. Not a very memorable character. I mean, the fucking wiki on this dude literally just says he likes girls with money. That's it. It's not really much on him. And that's pretty fucking sad, considering he was one of the main characters of this comic strip for 10 years.
And he eventually was sidelined into the Sunday pages before disappearing altogether.
Anyways, though, Popeye just took over the fucking show, being the cool sailor man he is. But now, why do I say he was the first anime character? It is not because, you know, I'm saying this comic is a Japanese animation. That's not the reason, okay? I say this because Popeye as a character and just the whole comic really reminds me of an anime. From specific strips I've seen and from what I've heard people talk about with Thimble Theater and Popeye comics, it seems as if they actually told real stories. Not just like one-off jokes, but actual things happening to these characters going and adventuring places and actual arcs. It wasn't just a gag comic strip, you know, like Garfield or the Peanuts. It was really something that tried to tell a story, or did tell a story, I should say.
The important thing to Segar was telling the story.
The comic strip was the perfect medium for Segar to create his characters and their world.
Generally, his story would last a couple weeks because it was a Sunday page, and in those days, you had much more room to tell a story. Back then, you definitely had a full page to tell the story, so the stories moved a little bit more, but it also allowed cartoonists to draw more.
And funny enough, Popeye himself, like a lot of shonen protagonists, is like this pure-hearted guy who's really strong and placed in this wacky world.
Popeye, of all people, was the sole innocent creature who always stood up for what's right.
I am the warrior you've heard of in legends, pure of heart and awakened by fury. That's what I am.
I'm Popeye the Sailor Man.
And that by itself, like, didn't really make me notice that until I actually started to see some of the strips. And I'm going to try to show the ones I seen that made me think, like, this fucking Popeye is like Goku. If I'm showing the strip right now, the strip I'm thinking of directly reminds me of something Goku did. Back in the 1920s, $10,000 is way more money than it is now. But even if you gave somebody $10,000 now, that's still a good amount of money. But anyways, he just gave it to him. I don't know why, but still, it just reminded me of something Goku did. You know, when he first went to the city and won that money and just gave a random woman money. That reminded me of some shit Goku did. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, damn, wow. Fucking Dragon Ball copied Popeye. Okay, well, now I don't know if that's true. I'm not saying it is, but it did come before, you know what I'm saying? And it's not like it's like just a coincidence either. Like, Popeye was actually like an action-adventure thing, it seemed like. Dragon Ball is an action-adventure thing. So it's like, the ties can be drawn.
Coincidence? I think not.
Oh, and another funny similarity it has to Dragon Ball and anime and manga is that when taken from its original form and translated to animation, it was just completely different. Like, the comic Popeye was completely different from the adaptation version of him in animation, which is hilarious because that happens a lot in anime. Popeye got it a lot worse than Goku because, I mean, they just completely made the Popeye cartoons just all silly things. It wasn't no adventures really in it other than one-off episodes, but it was never really a long story arcs like the comics did.
In the comic strip, rarely used spinach. As a matter of fact, Popeye's strength came from rubbing the feathers of a magic wiffle hand in a story called Dice Island in 1929. Popeye was almost killed. He was in a horrible gun battle, all full of bullets. And he stayed on board a ship and just rubbed the wiffle hen's top feathers. And it gave him such good luck that he conquered the bullets, and they didn't bother him, and he gained his strength from that.
I wouldn't be surprised if Akira Toriyama read Popeye strips when he was younger, and some part of that inspired him to create Dragon Ball, Dr. Slump, and things of that nature. There's a lot of things that Popeye can be thanked for. You know what I'm saying? Like, the modern superhero can thank Popeye. The modern anime can thank Popeye. If Popeye didn't exist, if Popeye didn't break new ground, a lot of shit that you're watching now probably wouldn't be the same, or probably wouldn't exist at all. Think about that. But yeah, I would like to read all of Popeye's original run, you know, from the original dude. Because, by the way, the original dude who made Popeye, sadly, he passed away. I mean, what? I say sadly he passed away like he wouldn't be dead. I mean, shit, this shit is like almost 100 years ago. No, but I meant to say that, sadly, he passed away before the guy he based Popeye on. The guy who made Popeye actually based Popeye on a real guy. Quick little tangent. I'm going to tell you about this guy, the real Popeye. So his name wasn't actually Popeye, but he was nicknamed that because he had, like, I think it was either a deformed eye or got knocked out, one or the other. But he had a messed up eye, and his eye was, you know, closed, and he only usually had one eye open. And for that reason, people called him, you know, Popeye. Like, you know, his eye popped out. Popeye. That's what they called him. And, you know, this real Popeye was just an old man in the neighborhood telling stories of his younger days. And that's where the creator of Popeye got the idea from Popeye, which is by listening to stories by the real Popeye. And, you know, later on when he made his comic Thimble Theater, 10 years later, he was like, you know, there's this old dude from my neighborhood when I was younger, man. Funny guy. I know he was a sailor, man. And I know I kind of need a sailor for this strip or whatever. I'm going to just kind of throw a reference in of him. You know, just to give a little homage to him. People just happened to like him, and he was like, hey, fuck, okay, I'm going to keep going with this character. And that's cool. But not only is that cool, he acknowledged that a real person inspired Popeye. He actually acknowledged that. He didn't just act like that wasn't the case or whatever. Like, I know a lot of cases of cartoon characters or fictional characters in general that are based on real people, but they try not to say who was based on for a lot of reasons. But it's kind of like nice to hear that the actual inspiration for Popeye got his flowers. Now, I don't know if it was through like legal battles or something like that. I don't think it was, because on the old dude's grave, it says, you know, this is the inspiration behind Popeye, blah, blah, blah. But then again, I could be wrong about all of this. You know, maybe the shit I saw is fake news, you know, fake information. I don't know. I only really searched on this for about, I want to say 5 or 4 hours, and I wasn't really even particularly trying to search on it. I just kind of fell down a rabbit hole, you know? So if any of this information turns out to be untrue, let me know in the comments. I'll actually be happy to hear. I'm not here trying to say this is absolute fact and that this needs to be put in the Popeye Wikipedia. No, I'm just sharing some interesting shit that I learned. That's all. That's it. And just because you learned something doesn't mean it's always 1,000,000% true. Maybe there's a part of it that's true and a big part of it's wrong. Or vice versa, where it's a big part of it that's true and only a little bit of it's wrong. Fact checkers out there, again, please let me know. I'm not offended if you do. Just don't come at me like, you know, I'm trying to purposely mislead people, because I'm not. I'm really just trying to share an interesting thing, goddammit! That said, if you know of any way I can read all of Popeye, you know, the original comic strip run from the actual creator, please let me know, because I can't seem to find it anywhere. Please let me know where to read it. Link it. And I'll pin the comment or whatever the hell. I would love to do that so I can just read it, and also so other people can read it. I never knew that Popeye was this much of an interesting character. It's fucking great. Oh, and last thing, Popeye the Sailor Man and a lot of other characters from his time are going into the public domain. So I hope you creators out there are ready. Okay? Because we have a chance to bring our boy some new life. Because it don't seem like the current owners have been doing shit with him. At all. Not reinventing him. Not, even putting him in movies. In fact, there was a movie by the fucking great creator of Samurai Jack. I want to say his name, but I don't want to say it wrong. That's why I just said the creator of Samurai Jack. He wanted to do a Popeye movie. And for whatever reason, it didn't fucking work out. But I've seen a lot of comment sections on a lot of videos that talk about Popeye that, he's going to be in the public domain and that we're going to be able to crowdfund, the creator of Samurai Jack's movie. And that's fucking great. That's awesome, and I hope that happens. But I also hope that somebody out there, hopefully me, somebody out there, makes something about Popeye that's a new, fresh take on a character, but has the heart of the original.
One of the things that makes Popeye work is you feel with all of the slapstick, with all of the violence, with all of the crazy plotting, the humanity that's underneath this, the essential goodwill. I don't know anything about Seagar as a man, but you do get the kind of innate decency out of the auteur behind the work.
Whew, man. Anyways, that's all me has to say. Namaste in peace. Toot toot.